back to Late Bloomers. I'm your host, Ria, and thank you so much for coming back to this corner of the internet. Today, I want to have an important discussion surrounding voting. As you all know, if you're in the US, the election is this Tuesday, and I wanted to have a conversation surrounding voting, our rights, the importance of voting, and so much more. But I can't do this by myself, so I would like to welcome Miss Deandrea Newsome to the show. Thank you so much for coming, Deandrea.
Hey, glad to be here.
So before we get started, I want to know a bit more about you. So, can you tell us a bit about your background and your experience with voting rights and elections?
Absolutely. So, my name is Deandrea, and I'm from a small town. You might know about it. J. Cole's from there, Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I have worked in organizing and politics for quite some time. I have started out organizing as actually a student about things that I care about around reproductive rights as well as comprehensive sexual education. While schools were telling people to keep your legs closed, yes, you're not gonna have no baby. No, I was talking about, okay, if you are gonna have sex, here are some condoms to make sure you protect yourself. I do this work because I care, and I've worked on several campaigns across the state, as well as worked in policy. I have a degree in public policy. I've worked with organizations impacting education policy, health policy, and the like, and also technology policy. And so I'm really excited about this work. I do this work because I just care about people.
Yeah, I really appreciate that being your your purpose, I should say, or your reason for doing this work. And I think that's just so simple. Um, I think some people they're like, oh, I have to have a love for politics, and it's like, yeah, but you also have to care about who you're speaking to and who's involved in this. Um, what inspired you to become involved in this field? Because you said you have a degree in public policy,
Hmm.
correct?
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I wanna say that it all started when I just had some really good teachers. So let me pause for a second because I know we're having this conversation and we're going to talk a little bit about civics before, but I think we are probably the last millennials, the last age group to actually experience having civics classes. And there is just not a real investment in teaching folks about not only the separation of powers, but why all of this stuff is important, how it all works. And I had some really amazing educators. I am a public education advocate. And so being that I had some really good educators, they inspired me to better understand this work. And I would say, we are also the generation that grew up during the recession. We
Mm-hmm.
also are the generation that grew up when weapons of mass destruction were happening and troops were
Yeah.
being sent to Afghanistan and Iraq. My dad went several times. And
Mm,
so a lot of these things impacted my everyday life. And I just wanted to understand. I wanted to understand, like, when my dad's coming home. And so I think it fueled an interest in me to not only represent for my community, but to be represented.
mm-hmm. Okay, amen to that. You ate with that. To be represented. Let's make it clear.
That's important.
It
That's
is.
important.
It is. You have to see yourself in a lot of places.
Mhm.
I agree. Representation matters. Um, Going back to the voting process, this is an important topic for me because I would be lying if I said I understood the process altogether. I know who I'm voting for, when I'm voting for them, but I would I need your help to kind of explain to our voters who might be new to this. Um, I want to help them walk through the process of the basic steps on how voting works in the US.
Yeah, so here in our country, we have elections every single year. And that's where I like to start with folks because whenever we talk about voting and by and large, everyone is talking about it their kitchen tables or amongst their friends and their families about, oh, this looming election that's happening. No, we actually do this every year. You just participate every 4 years. And so, depending on what's on the ballot, every single year there's something. There could be your local races. There can be ballot referendums here in North Carolina and also a few other states. There's a ballot referendum about putting in the state constitution about who can vote.
Mm,
When we all know in the US Constitution it says who can vote.
mhm.
Um, I'll get to that a little later.
Okay.
But it's there's something on the ballot every single year. Now, this particular year, we have the presidential race, all of the seats for Congress, House and Senate, and amongst different states, governorship and state legislatures. And so the local level, some localities will be experiencing some elections, but most by and large will be experiencing that next year.
Mhm.
And how it all works is depending on what your state legislator wants, like as a specific issue or a ballot referendum to be on the ballot, they'll vote on that ahead of the election and it'll be on your ballot. As far as everything else, this is what we call term limits. And so I like to think of it kind of like the chickens coming home to roost. Have you represented me properly? If not, this is my chance to either send you home or to allow you to stay.
Mm. I like how you said that. I read somewhere that we need to start looking at politics or politicians as like, you work for us. Let's be clear. We
Yeah,
don't work for you. Are you doing your job?
right, right.
What are some of the most significant changes to voting, most specifically the voting process that has occurred within the recent years?
Well, there have been a lot of changes since
Mhm.
2013. The summer of 2013, I'll never forget it because I crossed Delta, but also the summer of 2013, it was crazy. Under President Obama's administration, Attorney Holder, he was the Attorney General over the whole United States. He was dealing with a case that has changed the trajectory of elections as we know it, aside from money financing in elections, and that was Shelby versus Holder. In that particular Supreme Court case, it gutted the 1964 Voting Rights Act and it took out important provisions that protected the rights, by and large, of my minorities, marginalized groups in voting. And
Mm,
so immediately after that particular Supreme Court race, where, and you can quote this in some of the opinion, uh, Clarence Thomas mentioned that, oh, we're in a post-racial society. And
mm,
so we don't necessarily need to have these provisions that in essence made southern states like North Carolina, like South Carolina, like Alabama, Mississippi get permission from the US to change their voting laws. uh, we'll just allow the states to deal with their own voting rights in themselves. Immediately after that happened, and I'm sorry, I'm very animated.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Immediately after that happened, there were states like North Carolina that implemented voter ID. There were
Mm,
states that immediately after started doing other different types of things that, voter ID, they say it's a modern day poll tax.
mm,
Because why do I have to show, this identification? Now, some southern states like Georgia, they've had this for quite some time, but
mm,
more progressive states is if you want to vote, come on and vote. This is your voice, this is your civic duty. We're not
right.
going to put up any barriers to you getting to your civic duty. And so that's one of the biggest changes that we're
Mhm.
seeing here today. North Carolina, there was a fight between voter ID that's been spanning over 5 years.
Mm,
And now we have it. And this is actually the first presidential election that we're having to implement it.
mm. Let's go into more the voter ID aspect because I don't think people understand why that is such a touchy topic.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how that can create barriers. I understand because we see each other. But for someone who's not listening, could you explain like the type of barrier that puts on certain citizens of the United States?
Yeah. So it impacts older voters, our senior citizens who may have never received their not their driver's license, but their birth certificates. There's
Mhm.
still senior citizens that don't have access to their birth certificates. Like slavery was like it was a while ago, but it wasn't that far ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that was directly a effect of slavery, but there's some connection there. There's a there. But it affects older folks. It also affects younger folks, college students
Mm,
who may be registered, have their driver's license in another state. They could be attending college out of state, and all of these things are impacted. Now, I will say, in the state that I live in, and here in North Carolina, we did allow college ID to be acceptable, being an acceptable form of ID.
okay.
But essentially, if it's frustrating because if we're requiring this for people that we've never required it for before, what is the reason? So there's one particular party that will say, well, we're trying to cut down voter fraud. We're trying to make sure that the election process is open and honest. That is
Mm-hmm.
a lie. We have not experienced voter fraud until, well, I wouldn't even say until now. We have not experienced voter fraud that would suggest that we need this type of measure across several different states that never had it before.
Right.
Um, and aside from that, and on the local level, it also involves your state legislators. They also shorten early voting time. There was a movement here in North Carolina where they took away that last Sunday. So the last
Mm,
day of early voting was today, Saturday. I'm not sure when you're going to air this, but it was today, Saturday, and usually folks do their souls to the polls the Sunday before Election Day, but they really have to do it now, the Sunday before the last week of early voting. And so
mm,
there's just a lot of fishy business happening
mhm.
that begs me to believe that there is a concentrated effort to stop certain people from getting to the polls.
Yeah. I think it's kind of hard not to see it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not even involved in this work, but just from the outside looking in, I'm like, you asked the question earlier, like, why do we need this now? It wasn't an issue before. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before 2013, states like North Carolina, states like Mississippi, Alabama, with historic racism and disenfranchisement of
Hmm.
Black folks and voters, um,
Hmm.
they had to get permission from the U.S. Attorney General to do anything. To
Oh,
do
wow.
anything. Even if they wanted to implement voter ID, nope, you have a history of discrimination. You cannot do that. And so,
Oh.
and I'm and can let me use this caveat. That's why I know folks there are many folks that are either filling the presidential candidates or they're not filling the presidential candidates. Some are staying out altogether, which I try my best to just at least plant a seed and have a conversation with them.
Hmm.
Some of them are just skipping the presidential race altogether and voting down ballot, which is kind of like, okay, I'm happy you voted down ballot, but let's talk about this thing.
Hmm.
That's why it's so important about who becomes president because all of this is connected.
Hmm.
When President Obama became president in 2008,
Hmm.
there was such a major backlash because remember, every year is an election.
Yeah.
Although he won in 2008. In 2012, the Congress was up again. The House of Representatives were up again. And everybody that voted for President Obama didn't come out to the polls. Now, granted, I wasn't old enough, so that wasn't me. But yeah, they didn't come out to the polls. And
Mm,
we lost power. And when I say we, let me just make sure I be very clear.
yeah.
The party in control that would work with President Obama lost power,
Hmm.
and President Obama couldn't do what he like, couldn't pass certain things that he was trying to pass. And then
Yeah.
so fast forward when when this happened was 2013, immediately after Congress, like all of this is happening. President Obama went out of office in 2016.
Hmm.
We knew, and when I say we, those who are insiders, folks that watch this, we knew that there was going to be at least two Supreme Court justice seats that were going to be up.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, oh, I don't want to vote for that woman named Hillary Rodham Clinton. It's her emails, her emails. I don't want to vote for her. But essentially, when folks didn't vote for her, they allowed the orange man to become president, and he got to choose two Supreme Court justices. And
Yeah.
they are, first it started with the gutting of the Voting Rights Act of 1964. Then it became the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
All of these things are connected. And
Hmm.
right now, whoever becomes president the night of November 5th or November 6th, we will see.
We will see.
We will see. We'll likely be able to choose two more Supreme Court justices.
Mm,
And where we go from there, who knows? Right now, artificial intelligence is a huge thing, and
mm.
the courts may get involved. We'll see. We'll see.
Speaking of,
That's just one issue that I'm following. Well, I wouldn't say following intensely, but I'm just a little curious about.
yeah, so that was going to be my next question. How have technological advancements impacted the way that we vote?
Yeah. Well, there was the panorama in 2020. And during the perpendicular,
Uh-huh.
we we were in the heat of what is going to happen in the presidential election, right?
Yep.
And so during that election, there was a man named Joseph Robinette Biden who became the president.
Hmm.
And the way he became president, a lot of the organizing that we know became virtual and digital. And I think it could be argued that like we had to figure it out
Yep.
because there was a lot on the line. There was a lot on the line. But just a few technological advancements that I've seen. You know, we got on this thing called Zoom and Zoom
Yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
I'm saying this like this wasn't 4 years ago, but and I'm just joking, but yeah, a lot of these things have impacted how we organize. A lot of these things have impacted how we get our message out. But I will say, as an organizer, face-to-face, peer-to-peer, direct voter contact will forever be the holy grail for me. And that's how I like to organize. And that's what
I
I tell
agree.
other organizers is the best thing. Yes, you can text somebody to death, but if they were never going to support you, they just gonna block you.
Okay.
So having conversations, meaningful conversations will always be really important. And I don't know if you were getting towards this, but artificial intelligence, data privacy. I mean, if you have the new
Um,
iPhone, they call it Apple Intelligence.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Something like that.
Not quite sure what that means or what that is. Girl, my phone, I think I got my phone in 2020. So,
Okay.
and it hasn't messed up yet, so I'm keeping it. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I policy and politics is everywhere. And although I welcome technology advancement, I just want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves.
I agree. I think it's important to know how to use the technology that we have. And I feel that way, not just about, I guess you could count social media as technology, right? A form of technology. I feel like I see a lot of conversations happen online. Some I agree with, some I'm like, where do we get this information
And they
from?
could be bots. Look,
They
we
could
even
be
talked about that.
bots. Yeah,
Could
that,
be Russian influence, which
yeah.
sounds like you maybe maybe 6 or 7 years ago, you'd be like, Deandra, you were so crazy. You were such a nut. And I'm like, yes, I am a nut. I love to laugh and I think everything is funny for the most part.
Yeah.
But no, that is a real thing.
Yeah.
Russia interfered in the 2016 election. Like, so these
Uh,
things are real. These things are real.
yes. Um, Now we're going to kick it off to voter suppression because,
Mm.
as you know, all this ties in. All this ties in.
Everything's connected.
Um, Before we get started on the questions about voter suppression, um, could you explain what voter suppression is and provide historical context surrounding that?
Certainly, voter suppression is the action and acts to place as many barriers on a certain group of people and peoples to stop them from exercising their right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And man, this thing is so like everything is connected. I know you want to talk a little bit about the Electoral College, but
Yeah.
this is connected to that too.
Mm.
In 2020, oh, 2030, in 2030, which right now I'm starting to have conversations with folks. I'm like, all right, the 2024 election is going to be the 2024 election, but we also need to talk about the census in 2030. There's this thing called the census that happens every 10 years
Mm-hmm.
that it is used to determine how many congressional members your state get, what type of resources and federal funding your state gets, how that funding is used for social programs.
Mm-hmm.
It also determines how many electors your states get for electoral college. And back in the day, because this was John Adams, Tom Jefferson, and George Washington them
Oh,
that
yikes.
created this. Um, they wanted to make sure this was back when, our folks were people of African descent. The
Yep.
Three-Fifths Compromise, because it was so many of us in the South, they were like, well, that's going to give the South more power. They were counting us three-fifths of a person.
Mm.
All of this is connected. And there are huge, racial implications. But getting back to what you mentioned about voter suppression,
Mm-hmm.
when the Three-Fifths Compromise happened and people of African descent were counted three-fifths of a person, uh, we weren't able to vote then,
Mm-hmm.
but it did determine what type of resources were around for the
Okay.
most part.
Yeah.
It wasn't until what is it, 19? Ooh, I used to have this like really good. Ah, man. Okay. It wasn't until the 13. I'm trying to remember which amendment. Give me 1 second because I need to look.
Yeah.
I know it was 1920, white women were able to vote.
Yeah.
Um, Black women were the very last group of people that were able to vote. Now, folks that didn't necessarily need an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to vote, that it was just kind of understood, were white land owning men.
Okay.
So not all white men were able to vote. So there was already some dividing amongst race and class that
Mhm.
has essentially existed since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Um, I want to say it was 15th. Oh, I don't want to say this on your thing without fact checking it.
You
15th
got it.
Amendment. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. I had a good educator. I should find them and thank them. So in the 15th Amendment, um, it it prohibited the federal government and states from denying a citizen's right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude.
Mm,
And just to kind of keep it plain, what does servitude mean? It means slavery.
I was about to say, call a spade a
It
spade.
means slavery. But and an easier way to remember this is free citizens vote. 13, 14, 15.
Mm.
We became free. Now you didn't ask me this, but I think that this all of this
No,
is connected.
yeah,
People with African descent became free with the 13th Amendment.
okay.
And mind you, think 13 amendments. So there was a passage of the Constitution, and then we had to wait till 13 amendments. But anyway, the 13th Amendment freed people of African descent.
Okay.
The 14th Amendment allowed people of African descent to become citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And the 15th Amendment allowed um, basically black men to vote.
Okay.
But there were also other things like black codes where you had an excise tax, you had a grandfather law, you
Mm.
had all these things, a poll tax that you had to pay, or these certain tests that you had to take.
Test?
Can you guess how many drops of water is in my glass of water?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I am not.
I knew that black people had to pay to vote, which I don't think a lot of people know that. I think people just think we just had the privileges. We just woke up and we just go to the poll. But you're mentioning again all of these barriers that are in place just to place a vote, and then yeah, yeah, that's
All of
crazy.
it is connected. All of it is connected.
Mm,
And so I'm not the type of organizer to beat young people upside down. And it's not all young people. So I don't want to give young people a bad rap. It's not all young
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Sometimes I find very ignorant people that it's like, I'm not voting. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't beat people up the head with, well, our ancestors fought for this, and do you realize what your ancestors had to do?
Not
More
even
so,
ancestors, our grandparents.
right, exactly. Mine are Martha and Mildred. Love them, but if they found out I wasn't, Martha and Mildred don't play.
Okay, Lachey don't play. Love you, Lachey. Tony don't play.
Love
Love you,
them
Tony.
too, but they do not play. But I don't do it for the fear of them, and I
Yeah,
think that they're
yeah,
proud of that. I do it because like I see how the politic with me. And
yeah,
it's gonna politic with every person you know.
yeah.
If it's not what's happening with student loan debt, child.
Lord have mercy.
I just know they better figure it out because
Okay.
it's not that or
Mm,
health insurance, or even buying a home. I don't know if you're a homeowner. I'm not a homeowner yet, but I want
not
to
yet.
be.
Same.
All of these things are important to me. And so I do my hiring and firing at the ballot box based on that.
Yep.
And when I talk to people about that, I'm able to get some people that are kind of like, well, you make a point.
Mm-hmm.
I may not vote for this particular role, but I'll vote down ballot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, a win is a win.
Okay, like
A win is a win.
at least help
And
your
it's,
community locally,
right. And I look, I planted a seed because what they're going to realize is all of these things are connected. So if the executive branch doesn't have people that they can work with in the legislative branch, and nor do they have people in the judicial branch, then it's just kind of like that.
Mm,
That's how democracy was created. It
yeah.
was, and it also wasn't created for us.
Uh-huh.
This would had they John Adams, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson and them, they had look, if we were to call them up back now, they'd be like, wait, why are you calling me? one. And then two, they would be like, I never met you. I never, it's all
Wasn't
right,
talking about
sweetheart. I never
you.
met you.
You were never in mind. Let's be clear.
Right, right.
Um, Speaking of this, the voter suppression topic, what are some current examples of voter suppression that we're seeing today? You kind of mentioned it with the voter ID.
Yeah.
Um, but are there other examples that we don't even notice that is an example of voter suppression?
Yeah, so the way I think about it, so there's some that's institutionalized, like voter ID. That's I would say an institutional voter
Mm-hmm.
suppression. There's also non-institutionalized way. I was just at a poll in a very rural county.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to go because my candidate lost there by less than 500 votes. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, okay, that wasn't during a presidential year. So imagine what she can do in a presidential year. So I
Right.
was like, let me go. And I went there. I was talking to this older black lady, and she was like, they're trying to intimidate us, but I'm not going anywhere.
Period.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna be right beside you. They ain't gonna say nothing to us.
Okay.
And so that's voter suppression too. People are, I was just at a poll last night. There was a person who went in to vote, came out of the voting place. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm not trying to be partisan, but essentially they were a Trump voter.
Okay.
And they started ripping the Harris Walls
All right.
signs, like just taking them and ripping them. Like the voter intimidation is actually really disgusting.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's voter suppression too. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you heard about these stories in the civics classes you had, but
Mm-hmm.
like there were people who literally they would find you. They found out you voted. Fannie Lou Hamer,
Uh,
they were like, we find out that you vote in this county, it's gonna be me and you basically.
yeah.
Like people were literally getting death threats.
Mm.
And oftentimes I feel like it's getting a little play, but there is a lot of validity in this statement. If your voting power didn't mean so much, why do you think they would try to take it away? Or why would
Um,
they try and scare you from using it? Yes, there's a lot of validity. That now I do think it's getting just a little played up. But I'm also the type of organizer that I like to have conversations and meet people where they are. And
yeah.
sometimes I don't really think that statement meets people where they are.
Mm-mm.
But it's very true though.
Mm.
It's very true.
I mean, we just talked about um, the fire in Washington for the mail-in
They
ballot,
they are burning people's absentee ballots.
which is I've never. Maybe it has been happening, but that was the first time I was like, "Wait, what's going on here? What is going on here?" So I feel like that's another example of intimidation for the
Yeah.
people who haven't voted yet. Like, listen, and this is why I go in person, and this is why I don't trust the mail-in ballots because I just can't. I just like if I've always thought in my head something like that could happen, and the fact that it's happening now in
Yeah.
2024 is just like, okay, see, this is why I
In
go in
this
person.
great year of our Lord, 2024. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, what can individuals do if they believe they've experienced or witnessed voter suppression? Are people able to bring people with them to the polls? Are there certain accommodations? You know.
So there is a hotline,
Oh.
and most polls will have these voter protectors there. Let me figure out what the hotline. I should know this hotline by
And
the
we'll put it in
by
the
heart.
description box as well.
Yes, it's a voter protection hotline. It's a is it It's 866 our vote. And so OUR is the first three, and then vote is the last four. So
Okay,
essentially 866-687-8683.
awesome. Thank you so much for that. Because I don't want people to feel intimidated when they're going to vote. I know things are just different depending on where you're voting. I mean, the fact that you went to a rural area, not error. Whoop.
You from the
Wait.
South. It's all right.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you said.
um, so let's dig into the importance of voting, because this is the meat and the potatoes. So
Yeah.
we're gonna ask you a really basic question. Why is it crucial for every eligible citizen to exercise their right to vote?
It is critical for every eligible citizen to exercise their right to vote because they like they can be that one vote that pushes somebody over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
That one vote. There was a Black woman. She would have been the first Black woman to ever be a U.S. Senator here in North Carolina. She lost her general election race by 408 votes.
Mm.
I know each of us know at least 400 people.
Mm.
I know it. I know it. She would have been the first Black woman. And don't get me wrong, like I am, and I'm proud of this actually. I have some younger mentees that's kind of
Mm.
like, well, I don't always just want to support somebody because they Black. And don't get me wrong, I vet people.
Right, right, right,
But
right,
I am Black Girl Magic to the day or end of me. And I love Black Girl Magic. And for her, I trust her.
right.
That would have made my heart smile for
Mm.
her to be the first Black woman U.S. Senator from North Carolina. And she lost by 408 votes.
I don't think people also realize the fact that there's a first Black anything at this point in time.
Yes. In this day of our Lord.
This day of our Lord, honey. Like,
Don't mind me, I'm
I think we need, sometimes we need to zoom out. Sometimes we need to zoom out because we're just too into, like, we need to zoom out and be like, wait a minute, why is she the first Black woman running?
I mean, Beyonce said it best when she headline Coachella, first Black woman. She was like, "I'm the first Black woman." Ain't that about a bitch? Like, ain't it? Ain't it though?
Yeah. And her Coachella performance was 2018.
Yeah,
And Coachella has been a thing since the 90s. Mm,
make it make sense.
make
And
it make sense.
one thing that I've learned is no matter what place or space you occupy, there's always a decision. Like you could always make a decision. And
Mm.
so from the 90s until 2018, they was making that decision.
Yep.
And
Mm.
Beyonce been popping for decades.
At
So
this point.
at this
At
point,
this point. Um, yeah, yeah. So sorry. Can you share an example of an election where a small number of votes made a significant difference?
I would say I know that race comes to mind because a lot of us here in North Carolina are still kicking ourselves over that race.
Yeah.
Um, and just another tidbit, there has only been two Black women U.S. senators ever.
Yikes.
Carol Moseley Braun and Kamala Harris.
Oh,
And one of them running for president right now,
oh.
who may be, should she win, the first Black woman president of the United States. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. So that means right now there are zero uh, Black women in the U.S. Senate.
Mm.
Zero. So we're not even represented, and
And the Senate.
and we're dying at alarming rates across the country for Black maternal health, and we're
Yep.
and girl, okay,
Look, we're gonna bring you back. We're
I
gonna have
say, is
another
there a part
conversation.
two to this?
Yeah. Because
We have
I'm
after
thinking of
hours.
like topics in my head as you keep going. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to come back. We have to run that back.
Girl,
Um, do you mind sharing how voting in local elections impacts our daily lives? We kind of hit on this earlier, but the example that I like to use is like our rent, our gas prices,
mm,
our everything that we own, everything that you see, you got to vote
you
on it.
do. You do. How about this? I'll break it up. I'll break it down on the level. So I'm currently renting a townhome
Hmm.
here in North Carolina. Beautiful area. It's starting to price me out just a little bit.
Oh,
It's getting a little expensive out here.
rude.
But the Wake County Board of Commissioners raised their county taxes. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's cute." Pay taxes here. Y'all ain't gonna tell them, right? I pay taxes back home. Right. I pay taxes back home where it is significantly less.
Oh,
But yeah, they raised taxes here. And so when it came time for me to decide whether I wanted to renew my lease, and I ultimately chose to do it because I was kind of like, I like it here. Like the rent is not that bad considering how much space I have and what type of community I live in.
mhm.
But I was like, listen, y'all can't raise the rate. Y'all can't raise the rate. And they were like, and I was like, I'll stay here 2 more years. I'll sign the lease. So you have somebody occupying this space. One thing I've learned in real estate is it's not so much of what you're paying. They just want to make sure someone is paying something every single month. And
Okay.
so if I leave, it's gonna be vacant until y'all figure out somebody else coming in here. And so I was like, I'll sign it for 2 years. And they
Hmm.
were like, only thing is, Wake County passed a tax last year, and it's impacting how we, take care of the expenses of the home. And so we got to raise it to something. And so as I thought the Wake County taxes going up wouldn't affect me, it still did. And
Hmm.
so they raised it. This time they only raised it by $50. So I appreciated that, but still they raised it.
Yeah,
And so that's the local level,
right.
right? I'm talking about your county. And so on the state level, um, I went to school here because this is the longest place I've ever lived here in North
Mm.
Carolina. Yeah. I went to North Carolina A&T. And North Carolina A&T is a public institution here in North Carolina, and they receive state dollars.
Okay.
They are a land grant institution from the Morrill Act. And the reason they were started, but of course, we started as a farmers college at North Carolina A&T. But as we grew, got the distinction of being a land grant institution.
Hmm.
NC State was created for the same thing just a few years before we were, but we couldn't go there. So, and when I say we, people of African descent, Black people
Oh, okay.
and brown people.
Mm,
But we could not attend NC State. And
mm,
so the state had already been supporting, which this is now, it already was, it started out as a parody because NC State existed before us, but
hmm.
the state began paying them but way before us. Okay, I just said that, sorry. They paid them way before us, but then also they were paying them more.
Oh
And so
no.
it created them this imbalance to where in 2024, although our institutions have similar, like we do some very similar things in getting
Hmm.
state support, the parity, like it is insane
Right.
that North Carolina A&T, based off of the support that NC State receives and um oh my gosh, their endowment that they have and the money that they like, this is old money. So the,
Mm,
the money they've been holding on, and it's been compounding interest. Like
mm,
all of this is a time game and this is a privilege game.
yeah.
And so due to that they existed before us, there's already an advantage, but also due to that they're a predominantly white institution that we couldn't not go to at first,
Right.
we it's like we started late.
Yeah.
We started late, but I love my institution, and my institution is doing a lot of great things. But that's on the state level, and right now, the North Carolina state budget has a they call it the rainy day fund,
Mm,
a bill with a B, like Beyonce, with
okay.
billions of dollars. They could fix that parity right now, but have they done it?
No.
No, no.
And this.
Yeah, that's state level.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
you
so
got
you
me
ready for
thinking.
federal level?
I don't mean to derail, but you got me thinking about my sister went to Clark, and I remember her first year there. Like it was just it was terrible. Like the dorms weren't up to par and things like that, and people are wondering, they get this amount of money every year. What's the problem? Like, why aren't these things fixed? But I don't think people see what you're talking about now. Like,
It's bigger than that.
we got to zoom out.
It's bigger than that.
That's the lesson of the day. Zoom out.
Zoom out. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Zoom out. I love it. But yeah,
um,
no. And
yeah.
honestly, it didn't really drill home because I would advocate at the state legislature about
Hmm.
the parity of how they support NC State other
Hmm.
than North Carolina A&T, and that like there's money that you need to catch us up. Like you do.
Yeah.
You, you're supposed to. We're
We need
state
a
supported.
chance.
We're a public university.
Yeah.
I've done the advocacy, but I didn't realize until I did a racial equity training that our institutions, particularly our Black institutions,
Hmm.
we are so far behind
Hmm.
that it's almost kind of like unless we created our own infrastructure and built upon and kept our money in the community, I don't think we would ever catch up. And I know that sounds very depressing and very harsh, but the way I look at it, here's a good example. I if I have historically been given more than you,
Hmm.
longer than you, like
Yep.
the math ain't gonna math. You ain't gonna ever catch up with me.
At
You
all.
just not. It's not gonna work. It's like the way compound interest works.
Yeah.
It's like I put in an investment for $2. You start 10 years from now. Like my $2 have compounded on
Hmm.
top of the compounding.
Okay.
And in you like, and it's unfortunate, but I think that reparations is a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how
Look, I
I do.
don't.
Let's say, look, I'm going everywhere. So I don't know if you're ready for this, Rhea, but
No, I
um,
mean, I believe in reparations as well. Do I think we're gonna get it in my lifetime? I don't know.
right. Like
I
I
don't.
think we need and there's some really amazing minds that can talk about like how to actually implement it and
Yeah.
what it would look like. But like this stuff is so deep,
Hmm.
I don't know if it's possible. I don't know. I don't know unless they just gave every Black person $1 billion in a house. Like I don't know. That's
When
your
are we supposed
40
to get
acres and
that?
a mule right
I
there.
was
Like
like, so when are we
I
supposed to?
don't
They a
know.
little late on that. It's 2024. What's um? Yeah. Dang, you hit on a good subject. We listen. You gonna come
All of this
back? You
stuff
gonna
is
come back?
connected. Look, and
Connect.
I just stopped at the state level. I ain't we didn't even talk about
Oh yeah, federal
the
level.
federal
Clock
level.
it. Clock it.
And so, okay, right now, one thing I've been following, of course, student loan debt.
Yes.
When the Biden administration did their first sweep,
Uh-huh.
literally with the sign of a pen, next day people's loans were forgiven. Child. People's loans were forgiven. Now I wasn't in that group.
Where was I?
Because I hadn't been in the public service loan forgiveness program that long. But say you were in the program, you had been paying for like you had started paying for 3 years and then maybe you lost your job or not even you lost your job. You had children and took care of your children and so you weren't working and then because before the rules were so stringent that hardly anyone was getting their loans forgiven. And so it
Yeah.
kind of the clock started right back over for you when you started back paying your loans. When they did their first sweep back in 2021, it was either 2021 or 2022.
Uh-huh.
People literally woke up and was like, "Is this you, Lord?" Like, it's gone. Like they
Gone.
say I don't owe no money. I don't believe it. Like, like,
What's
yes.
the
I,
catch?
I, I was talking to people and they were like, Andrea. I had to call them to make sure this was right. And I was like, yes, no, that is right. And
Mm,
I'm happy for them. Now, I wasn't so fortunate to be in that number,
yes, yes.
but look, they can
Shout out
figure
to
it
them
out.
people. Shout out to them folks.
And so, like, that is another way. And so, who determines that?
Hmm.
Your president,
Oh, yeah.
Congress, because
Hmm.
Congress has been fighting it.
Yeah.
And then also your governor. All of this is connected because if it wasn't for a few governors in the Midwest, they wouldn't be trying to figure out what's going on with the SAVE program right now.
Mm.
The
What's that?
governors were like, we don't want this. They're Republican governors, of course,
Oh,
but we don't want this. So we're going to file suit. We're going to file an injunction. They have to stop this until we figure this out in the courts. Which that all is connected. Who you vote for judge? Okay, so I feel like that was overwhelming. I don't want to
no.
overwhelm you. This is just to say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
when you go vote, if you haven't already voted, and
Hmm.
I'm sure early voting is probably ended in your state if you have it. When
End
you
of
go vote
Thursday.
Tuesday,
Hmm.
vote every single look. What my candidate, she said, turn around and flip it. I was like, girl, you're so crazy. But she was like, turn around and flip it.
Literally,
But
I
fill out
judges
every
are
single
so
thing.
important. Judges are important. I mean, we not even gonna get into this Young Thug case. We not even gonna get into.
Funny. And you know what's funny? Well, it's not that it's funny. I haven't been following. I'm a true auntie. I'm sorry.
It's
I just
okay.
haven't been following. So I don't really understand what's going on, but I'm happy that someone is free. I'm assuming someone is free.
Yes, I think he took a plea deal, but
Okay.
he has 15 years of probation, which uh, the
Oh,
listeners
so the
can't see
memes
what I'm
make
doing
sense.
right
He's
now,
gonna
but
be
I
rapping
just
about his ABCs and I
I
need
was
to
like
take care of his
15. God
family.
damn.
Okay, look, I'm sorry. It
Ooh.
just registered to me because I didn't really understand the memes either.
Oh, okay.
So that was such a me thing. Y'all can cut that out. Sorry,
No,
that was
you're
a
fine. You're fine. Look, we have aunties who listen to this. I'm an auntie myself, so yeah. um, what would you say to someone who believes their votes don't matter?
I would start off with before I would just say, no, it matters. It matters. Go out and vote. But I'm
Yeah,
like, I think that that's a little intense for them. And maybe I'm just a softie. I don't know. Like I try to make sure I meet people where they are.
yeah,
And I don't like to watch because I have seen it. I don't like to watch people just yell and speak down on people who really feel
yeah,
like that because to them, that's their perspective. Something has happened to make them feel that way. And so
yeah.
you yelling at them is not going to make them want to vote. They're just going to be like, and that's why I'm not voting because y'all crazy.
Because y'all getting on my nerves.
Y'all get on my nerves.
You
Like,
pissing me
leave
off.
me alone. I'm still not voting.
Right.
But, I first start off with like, well, why do you think that? I want to better understand where you are because obviously something is happening that you don't believe that that's true.
Yeah,
And so even with the electoral college, like I remember last election, last presidential election, a lot of people were like, well, we don't even pick the president. And I'm like, there's a process there. So electoral college is a process. Whoever wins the popular vote in your state, that party, so say North Carolina goes blue
mm-hmm.
for Kamala, yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
Kamala. That means that the Democratic Party will pick the number of electors that we have given our census. All of
Back
this
to the
is
senses.
connected.
You're bringing it back. Connecting.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
bring it back. Bring it back. All this is connected. Given our census, we'll vote
Hmm.
for her in the Electoral College.
Okay.
Now, say that Trump wins South Carolina.
Hmm.
Even if even if Kamala wins the popular vote nationwide, if Trump wins more electors based on how many states he won the popular vote for, and they choose a number of electors based on their census, he then wins. That happened in 2016. People were
Uh,
so confused. Well, Hillary won the most votes. That means my vote doesn't matter. No. Then I just say to them, did you fill out the census? Because all of this is like, so all of
yeah.
this is connected. It's like your vote still counts. Like, we still need you to come out to vote because say she does win the popular vote, but
Mhm.
your state has 20 electors. Now, I don't actually I think that there is a state that has 20 electors. I need to research to see which state it does. Say
Mhm.
your state has 20 electors, she wins a popular vote, but your state, you didn't vote, and your state went Trump.
Mhm.
That means that's 20 electors that's going to be a part of the electoral college for Trump.
Oh.
So you get what I'm saying? So your vote, it matters.
Yeah.
But I try to like, I feel like that's sometimes a little overwhelming for folks that I'm just kind of like, well, let's talk about everything under president. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
these things I would actually argue are probably a little bit more important.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just a little bit more important. And so, yeah, I try to explain it, but you can kind of gauge with what folks can kind of handle.
Right. Right. Right.
I start with the issues. So how do you know what's going on? Well, I
Mhm.
just feel like things are just so expensive and Trump crazy and I don't trust Kamala.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm not voting. I don't think it matters because they're gonna do whatever they want anyway. And it's
Mhm.
kind of like they're gonna do whatever they want if you're not a part of it. Now, say you a part of it and you get everybody at your job, everybody in your family, and every one of your friends to vote one way or
Mhm.
the other. Oh, you built a very large voice.
Yeah.
And so it's a group sport. And so
Mm.
that's why you see people out here and I'm sorry for our girl Kamala. She's been blowing up my phone too.
Girl. Girl.
Be like, friend.
Enough. Enough is enough.
I actually voted last week. I need you to
We,
chill.
we're done. We're done. No more
Once
text.
I voted, you was gonna
We're
take
done.
me off the list. But and I can joke about that, but there's always you can opt out. Just tell people go ahead and just opt out because they're
Girl,
gonna continue to
I'm about to,
worry you.
about to text stop. Okay.
Yes, just text stopped or opt out or you know. But that's why so many people get involved because it is genuinely a group sport. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think I speak for just myself. When growing up, if y'all act up while the sub was there, you didn't get a pizza party. So it was like, listen,
Okay.
y'all, that be like the plane in the back. I'm not playing with y'all on my
Stop.
pizza party. I am not playing with y'all. So yeah, I need y'all to straighten up
Straighten up. Get it
because I'm trying
together.
to get this pizza party. And so it's a
Uh,
group sport. Yeah.
yeah. I think we should definitely hit on that. I feel like we've become such individualized people, and we need to, like you said, this is a group sport, this is a group activity. And also, I always tell people they want you to feel that way. They want you to feel like your vote doesn't matter. If you
Yeah.
feel that way, they've succeeded. And when I say they,
I feel like there has been a lot of propaganda
a lot of
going
propaganda.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, to
Yeah.
make even different groups. Like
Yeah.
I've been watching here in North Carolina, there's been some real obvious propaganda around Black men. There's an ad here with Charlemagne the God
Oh
talking
no.
about trans people.
Uh,
And yeah, oh, Kamala's gonna yep, trans folks too. Yep.
mhm.
Oh, Kamala's gonna use my tax dollars to make trans folks change, and it's not
I've
true.
seen that, and I actually had a grandparent send. They told me to vote no on question one because she said it would have trans kids like change their gender or something. So I can't even put it together because it just sounded so bizarre to me. But I'm like, where are y'all getting this information from? Um, and yeah, the propaganda, it's very like it's sexist, it's homophobic, it's
Yeah.
transphobic, and I don't think people like realize that. It's even anti-black. Let's start
It's
there.
very anti-black.
You
And
know?
so it's kind of like you clearly see this man doing a bunch of stuff for Kamala. Like clearly.
Yeah.
Why would he be talking against Kamala? And I mean, and that's just what I said was very pro Kamala. And I don't want to I don't want to share it with your listeners that I'm just trying to preach Kamala. But like
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
happening all around. And I think we just have to be very vigilant about what we see in our eye gate, what we hear in our ear gate, and not allow us to like repeat things that just are not true,
yeah.
like, and I'm not the type of person to shame people. Well, you need to do your Googles and you need to do your research. No, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this because what you're saying is not exactly true.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to make you feel like I know it all, but like where did you get that?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm always like, let's work it back. Let's work it
hmm
back to where
And
we found this
unfortunately,
information.
people get their information from Facebook now.
Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok.
Mhm.
But there's a particular brand of information on Facebook, which I just feel like again it's like propaganda, it's false information, or it's what is it called? Agitators. Yes. I see a lot of
Mm,
agitators and just news article like all over, and I feel it makes me upset because I was given the tools to kind of decipher and have some discernment of like, okay, this message it don't sound too right, and this is for every. I'm talking about all sides. Like you hear a message, you see something, and it's like this doesn't click right. I'm gonna like do my research that I know how to do. That's also another thing. We tell people to Google. We don't tell people how to do things. That's irritating to me.
right.
That's very irritating. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I've even been guilty myself when I'm talking to people. I got to check myself because I'm like, oh, I don't want to sound like I'm talking down to you or I'm talking at
Mhm.
you. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of where we heard this from, and let's add some facts to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I could use that. Where'd you get that from? Let's add some facts to it.
um, so beyond voting, and this might be a loaded question. I know that there are people in this country who are, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm using the wrong words, who are technically citizens, but they're not able to vote for whatever reason, right? Um, or maybe they aren't a citizen of this country, right? They came from somewhere else. How can those people get involved and be like more civically engaged? Because I still feel like people can make a difference. I mean, of course, you can't necessarily vote if you're like a felon or whatever, but I feel like there's still ways for people to get involved.
Yeah, I saw a campaign recently online. It was kind of like, can you vote because I can't right now?
Mm,
And it kind of pulled on me like they watching this stuff happen and they're probably on the pathway to citizenship, but it's just kind of like,
yeah,
listen, I need you to vote
yeah,
because I just can't do it right now.
yeah,
And these things are important to me and my family.
yeah.
Um, Organizing around that.
Hmm.
I think also bringing awareness I feel like there's just this huge divisive propaganda
Uh-huh.
and movement, if you will, of people that just think like, well, why are they coming here anyway? And it's just kind of like,
Oh,
yeah. I've actually taken like a reduced version years ago. It's been over 10 years, so I'm pretty sure it's probably even harder. But I've
mhm.
taken a section of the test, the
Me
citizen.
too.
That thing is hard.
That thing is hard. I said,
Thing is
I was born
I
and
don't
raised.
even think, look, if they I'm sorry, I just thought about this random thing. When Trump became president, Steve Harvey started calling people, talking about, so you got to show your papers now. I'm
Oh
sorry,
God,
that is not funny,
listen.
but it's funny. it makes me think of that. If somebody became president that was so had the mitigated gall, essentially, and insane to make people like, hey, we gonna clear everybody out. Everybody got to take the test, honey. I would not be a citizen.
Yeah,
That
I
test
wouldn't
is
touch that
so
thing.
hard.
Yeah, and they go all the way back to like
Tom
when this
Jefferson and
country was
John Adams
founded.
in them days. Yes.
Like, who the? Who, I mean, I know these things because like we learned them in social studies, U.S. government, da da da. But like, I'm not worried about that right now. Did I carry that information with me? Sort of, kind of, but not really. Like, I would not pass that citizenship test either. Um,
Honey, I wouldn't either. And I actually
mm,
like those classes. Like
yeah,
I
I did well. Surprisingly, I didn't like social studies, but I'm good at remembering dates and certain things, so I'd always excelled in those classes for some reason. Um, how can listeners stay informed about upcoming elections and candidates?
Yeah, so each state has a state board of elections website. If you just Google your state, say you live in Mississippi, do Mississippi State Board of Elections, you'll find out all the information of the elections that are happening in your state every single year. Remember, every single year is an election year. And I also, so I work in this world. I'll give you a little secret. When people are running for office, they just want a room, they just want a mic. You invite them somewhere, they will show up. They will
Mm,
show up. And
mm-hmm,
so, if you want to meet somebody, everybody be having family reunions in the summer. We want to have all the candidates for the city council to come to the family reunion because we
mm-hmm.
want to know who you are. I can bet you they will show up
Really?
because you are a voter and they want to make sure that they earn your vote.
Mm-hmm,
And if they don't show up, that also shows you where their values are too.
mm,
Um, so getting to know candidates is as easy as contacting them. A lot of candidates now in this digital world, running for office is almost like running a small business, essentially.
yeah.
Yeah, the industry of just electioneering it's a thing. And I'm trying to get into it too. But it's definitely a growing industry. And
Mm-hmm,
so when candidates are running for office, essentially they're running like a small business. They're trying to make sure that they get across, around their district. They're trying to get across their state or whatever to get votes.
mm.
And you
I
know
bet.
what's funny? Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
but
What were you gonna say?
no, I'm saying I bet people don't even think that they can like contact people. Like they just think like, oh, these people just pop up on a ballot one year and we're supposed to vote for them.
Girl, I'll never forget. I was at A&T and Congresswoman Alma Adams, she wasn't in Congress yet. She was a legislator. I found her number. I was looking for like an internship. I found her number. I thought it was her office number. Found her number online and I called. Girl, that was her house number.
Oh, not the landline. Not the landline.
Girl, yes, the landline. Now, granted, this was in like 2012, it was 2012. And so
Mhm.
I I didn't mean it. Oh, I just realized I said that I didn't vote in 2012. I did vote in 2012 because I was old enough. But anyways,
Yeah.
as I digress.
That
Yeah, we was in college. Yeah.
was
Okay.
my first election actually, yeah.
Yeah, that was my first
Mhm.
election too. But yeah, like depending now, granted, that was actually a little bizarre. A lot of candidates, at least I know, will have like a second number or it'll go to their cell phone number or maybe there's a teammate of theirs. But
Right.
I called Alma Adams and she was like, hello. And I was like,
um
Representative Alma Adams? Yes.
not yes.
Hi, my name is Deandrea Newsome. I'm looking for an internship. And she was like, "Can you meet me at my office today?" And I was like,
Oh.
"Okay." Yes, and so I was making phone calls. I was phone banking
Oh.
for her when I was a student.
Shout out to you for calling the people on their landline. Okay, shout out to them landline.
Girl,
Okay,
had I known it was her house number, I don't know.
yeah, no, 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 no. You thought it was the office number, but turned out to be something
Ooh.
different. Um, you kind of hit on this earlier, but what are some resources you would recommend to people who want to learn more about the voting process and their rights?
Yeah, I love a lot of resources. So like I told you, Black Girl Magic. I love all things Black women. Win with Black Women is a really great community. They have Sunday calls where they rally all the Black women across the country and sometimes
Oh,
outside of the country. And they
ah,
just talk about the issues that are currently happening, where you can tap in and get involved. They'll have guest speakers on that range from like Alma Adams to like one time Meghan Markle was on to
oh,
Oprah Winfrey. Like it's
Oprah.
popping. It's popping, okay? They be having actresses and on and stuff like that, and they're talking about all things politics. And one of
Yeah.
the things that I thought has been very interesting, they have a lot of people from the sports industry there because
Mm.
politics is everywhere.
Politics
Like
is everywhere.
everybody is on this WNBA wave, including me.
Me too.
And right,
Yeah,
right.
I'll say,
And
shout
it's
out
just
to
kind of
Miss
like,
Reese
why did it take Caitlyn, what's her name? I'm
Clark.
sorry, I shouldn't have said Caitlyn, what's her name? What's her
Caitlin
name?
Clark.
Caitlyn Clark.
Okay.
No shade to Caitlyn. Love you,
No
girl.
shade. No shade.
No shade. Love you, girl. But it took Caitlin Clark for us to start realizing the parity that women in the NBA face.
Yeah.
Brittany Griner, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we essentially it's a great community. So I love that resource. Also, if you want to get involved with your party of choice or you want to learn a little bit about the party, I also invite you to, go check your parties out, your state party, whether you're
Mm.
Democrat, Republican, Green Party, whichever.
Mm-hmm.
There's no discrimination here, but
Hmm.
align with the one that best fits your values. And I
Yeah.
say best because
Mhm.
they're all not a great fit.
No.
It's not gonna be like your shoes,
Yeah.
but go to the one that best fits and just learn about them to see
Yeah.
how you can get involved. They're always in need of some volunteers and stuff like that. And then
Mm.
also, I mean, run for office.
Sh-
Do it.
So how old can people start running for office?
Well, it depends. It depends.
Depends on the
That
state.
seemed very mischievous. Sorry.
No, no, no. I mean, but people need to know
You
that
only have
it's
to be
not.
35 to run for president.
Which now that I just hit 30, I think that is so young.
You think so?
I don't know because all of our presidents, they're like in their 70s.
In some place, and that's a problem.
It is a problem.
And that's a problem. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, and that's why
We're
you
not being
need to
ageist here.
run for
We're not being
office.
ageist, but I think, wasn't Obama technically the youngest that we've had in a while, youngest president?
He was the youngest president.
Yeah. So,
Hmm
and he was in his 60s when he ran
I
or
think he was in
50s.
his 50s.
Okay.
He's in his
Yeah.
50s. And Joseph Robinette Biden. I'm gonna stop playing with a man name. Sorry. Joseph
You better
Biden.
see the whole government, okay?
I don't know. I'm just a character like that. But Joe Biden, he's the oldest.
Oh yeah, he is older than Trump. When I found that out, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. And so it depends. So on to run for president, you just have to be 35. To run for Congress, I think you just have to be like 20, 25 or something.
Hmm,
I can look that up. Your state, it depends. Here in North Carolina, you just have to be, I think, 18 or 20.
nice.
And then the local level depends on what your locality says. When uh when I was at A&T, I want to say the year after graduation, there was a student at Elizabeth City State. I always shout out Elizabeth City State. They're HBCU in
Hmm.
Elizabeth City in North Carolina. They had a student to run for city council, and he won.
Wow. Okay.
And he
Okay. And
won.
he was like, yeah.
And so anytime I go to college campuses to talk about voting, I'm just like, and you can do this too. And there's
Yeah,
gonna be people who support you. Like, there are gonna be
yeah.
people who support you. Do it. Yeah, Obama was 47. 47.
Damn.
That's like, so if this was back in 2008, I'm 31 now. That
Hmm.
means that he would have been 16 when I was born. Can you imagine like having a big brother or a cousin that's 16 be president? Like,
Oh, we going
that's
up.
freaking dope. Like,
Cheddar biscuits for everybody. Cheddar biscuits for everybody. Okay, we going
come on now. Come
up.
on now.
We going up.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also so Bill Clinton was the youngest. He was 46. Okay.
okay. Well, we'll look. Either way, they're both young as hell, or younger than what we have in the past. So,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I love the millennials. I also love Gen Z.
me
I
too.
love them, even though they get on my nerves. But I love them. I love them so much because they look at this like we be like, oh, that's crazy, and keep on doing what we doing. But they're like, that's crazy, and now I'm gonna run. And I'm like,
Love
I'm
it.
here for it because I think once they start taking over, say will.
Yeah.
When they start taking over, I don't think that it'll be a long time in the past that you will be 70 in office. Like that's crazy to me. I'm
Gen
sorry.
Z,
When,
we
I, when
tired.
I'm 70, like I just want to be chilling at somebody's beach.
Yeah, don't
Stress
nobody want
me
to
out
run a
about
country at
no
70. What the hell?
weapons of mass destruction. I'm trying to enjoy my mojito,
Okay, and Obama aged. I remember seeing his hair turn. I said, "Whoa, uh,
baby.
God damn, Jesus." Um, in conclusion, what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners regarding voting and civic engagement?
It's your time.
It's your time.
It's your time. No wishes, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. It's your time.
J Lo
Bust a
did say,
move.
"Let's get loud." So
Bust a move.
that's a
Like,
move.
yes, bust a move. I just thought about T.I. and ATL. Bust a move, shawty. I'm sorry. I'm a character. But it's your time. Like, you know, it's more about what you want to see and
Mm-hmm.
less about the candidates.
Yeah.
It's not about them, it's about you. You got
Mm-hmm.
this. Go do it. Go do it.
It's your time. Are there any final thoughts or advice you'd like to share with our audience?
Don't feel like you need to know every single candidate in their platform before you vote.
That's key because sometimes I'm just like, there's so many.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yes.
It's overwhelming.
Overwhelming. Yeah, no, I can understand that. My best advice with you when you're choosing, I would say because we're in the general election, you don't have as many choices as you did in the primary election.
Right.
So in this general election, um, know what your values are and what you stand for. Do look at a few points. When you go to the polls, there'll be people with information. Take whatever you want, leave the rest. You don't have to take
Mm-hmm.
everything. And don't let them pressure you to take everything.
Mm-hmm.
But take a look and vote your values. Vote your values. And you don't have to agree with everybody. I know this sounds very cringy. You don't have to agree with 100% of people what people do. If you could work with that, like that's okay. That means the fight still continues. We vote you in
Mm-hmm.
office, and I'm gonna see you on Monday.
Okay.
All right. Now that you've earned my vote, this is what I need you to do for me.
Remember, politicians work for us. We do not work for them.
Amen.
Amen. Deandrea, thank you so much for joining today's episode. I really appreciate your knowledge, your wisdom, just your words, your energy. Like, I really appreciate it. Yes, this is an important time. And again, this is just my conversation on my corner of the internet. And I hope that we at least touch, one person. But remember, you guys, go out there and vote. Um, and like we said, it's your time.
It's your time.
It's your time.
You know what? I just realized how auntie that is because it's your time to shine.
Hey, for people that can't see us, I'm moving my head like I got a bob.
Right. Babiana. Come on, Babiana.
Babiana. um, yes, thank you so much for coming. I hope that you come again and again and again. You all, you can follow Deandrea where?
I'm on all social media, the @ Deandrea New. And you know how to spell it. It's just like Andrea, but with DE in the front and then new, NEW. So don't be acting brand new, okay? You know how to
Okay.
spell it.
I will make sure to put all the resources discussed today in the description box. Again, please leave a comment and we'll see you again next time.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.